Hi, I'm Roy from Roy's Garage. Today we're going to be working on a 2003 Toyota Highlander 3.0 liter automatic. The problem is there's a winding sound that's coming from the engine compartment, and the sound sounds like it's coming from the alternator. So if you hear this sound, like it's coming from the alternator. So if you hear this sound, this winding sound, that's not normal. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be checking the charging system. Okay, I hooked up my battery tester and it says problem, no voltage. That's an indicator of the alternator needs to be replaced. These are the tools I'm gonna be using today to do this job. 3/8 ratchet, 3/8 extension, 12mm flex socket, 3/8 ratchet, 1/4" ratchet, 10mm socket, 14mm socket, 1/4" extension, 12mm flex socket, 12mm a gear wrench ratchet, some anti-seize, dielectric grease, and a battery tester. Today I'm going to be replacing this alternator. I'm going to be using this brand called Denso, part number 210-1032. I like to use a Denso brand. That's just like getting an original Toyota alternator at an aftermarket price. Before you remove the alternator, you should disconnect the negative side of the battery. But you got to remember, you disconnect the negative side of the battery, you're going to be losing the memory on the car computer and your radio. On this one, this particular one, I'm going to leave the battery wires hooked up, and I'm going to be very careful to remove this battery wire on the alternator without shorting out anything. So I'm going to be lifting up this rubber boot, and then this electrical connector, I'm going to be pushing this tab and pulling it out. So I'm going to be removing this rubber boot. So very carefully, I'm going to be removing the battery wire, the main battery wire that's going to the alternator. Be very careful you don't touch your tool against any metal, or it's just going to short out. So you got to be real careful. And then I'm going to wrap this terminal around with some black electrical tape so it doesn't short out. Okay, there's one bolt under the alternator. We're going to have to loosen that. And there's one bolt on this side. That's the adjustment that makes it tighter or looser. So we're going to be loosening up the bolt under the alternator first, and then from there we're going to be slacking the adjustment to take the belt off. And then we also got to loosen up this pivot bolt too. Okay, we're going to be loosening the bolt that's underneath the alternator first. So now we're going to be loosening up this adjusting bolt in the front of the alternator to take the belt off. So it's a little tight getting out, but we're gonna be removing this wire, kind of like push this clip and then pull it out and then move it to the side to get a little more room. Now we're gonna try pull it out. So this is the adjustment for the alternator. One bolt goes right in here, and this other one is the one that tensions the belt. Once you got it to the right tension, then this bolt, you just lock it in. Okay, so we'll be installing the new alternator. I'm gonna be putting some anti-seize on top of this bolt. This one you gotta kind of go by feel because you cannot really see it. Okay, we're gonna be putting on the belt. Now we're gonna be tensioning the belt by tightening up this screw in the front of the alternator. Some guys, what they like to do is twist the belt. If the thing twists like 90 degrees, then it's good to go. But I usually kind of go by feel. When I'm turning this wrench, you can kind of feel it where all of a sudden it gets real tight. And then that should be good enough. Now we're going to be tightening up this bolt down here. Okay. Tightening up this pivot bolt. Okay, so I'm going to be removing the electrical tape from the main battery wire. Gotta be real careful. Don't touch this terminal to any metal part of the body or the engine, or you're going to short it out. You gotta be real careful not to touch any part of the metal. Okay, so I'm going to be tightening the nut. Be very careful. Putting the rubber boot over. Okay, so we're going to put on some dielectric grease into this connector. And shove it right inside the alternator. And then shove the rubber boot over. Okay. Okay, so the alternator's in, so I'm going to start up the vehicle. Make sure the alternator doesn't have a winding sound, and I'm going to be checking the charging system. It's showing 13.75 volts, so that's perfect. So that's how you change a noisy alternator that's not charging. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe, give me the thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Aloha.